So, welcome Håkan Wallander, professor in soil biology at the Lund University and also one of the keynote speakers here at the Living Soil Forum. Could you first tell our viewers a little bit about your research and what countries you have been doing research in?
Yeah, well, my research is about mycorrhizal symbiosis between trees and fungi. And I've been doing research mainly in Sweden, but also in Iceland and in the US and the Czech Republic and also in Nepal and Northern Africa and Tunisia. So those are the main countries.
You've also just written a book in Swedish, a popular science book on soils.
Yeah.
And much of the focus on this forum has been on organic farming. Could you tell us a bit about the advantages and possibly disadvantages of organic methods from your academic point of view?
Well, the main thing is that in organic farming you use organic fertilizers, and you want to keep a high organic content in the soil. And that's very good for this mycorrhizal symbiosis, these associations between the plants and the fungi, because they thrive very well, which we have a lot of organic material in the soil. And if you fertilize too much, you will weaken this symbiotic association, and that's the risk if you have conventional fertilizers or conventional farming. That I mean, of course, you can over-fertilize also in organic farming. So the main thing is not to fertilize too much and to keep a high level of organic matter in the soil. That's what we aim for.
So it's rather the issue of what amount of fertilizer you add than the source of the fertilizer.
Yeah, not only, but I mean the organic material is the key thing. But then it's not. I mean, you also have to be aware of the over-fertilization risk also when you have organic farming. It's not, because it's actually more difficult to apply a fertilizer if you have organic manure compared to have you have a chemical fertilizer, because you don't have control of the amounts of the different nutrients.
And what farming practices do you see as most crucial for a long-term sustainable farming?
Yeah, well, the best thing, in my opinion, would be to have more perennial systems. I mean, because the big risk is of course when you plow and you have the soil bare, and there is a risk of soil erosion, water erosion and wind erosion. So if we can develop more perennial systems, agroforestry, but also to have cereal crops that we now have as annuals. If you can develop perennial cereal crops and oil plants, things like that, I think that would be the most sustainable on a long term.
And what would that be, for example?
Yeah, I mean there are ways to develop rice and sunflower and also oil plants like fältkrassing in Swedish that are, I mean, they are not ready yet to be used on a large scale, but people are working on it. And I think that will be very beneficial if they can do that, because that will reduce erosion and it will also keep the nutrients better in the system. Because, yeah.
Is that because you affect the soil less, you dig less in the soil, or what is the big advantage of a perennial system?
Well, the thing is, as soon as you plow or have the soil bare, you have the wind and the water that erode the soil, and the nutrient can leach out. If you have a permanent plant cover, the nutrients won't leach out, and the erosion won't be as severe. So that's my hope for the future, to have more perennial systems. And then, of course, to use recycled material, because we are running out of phosphorus. We cannot use the phosphorus for very long from the mines, so we need to recycle. That's also, we need to recycle the waste in our societies and use it in the agricultural field. But we need to develop techniques that we can do it in a clean way. That's also a big challenge for the future.
Perhaps you could also mention something about what you've learned from doing research in different countries. What kind of things that can be generalizable between countries, and to what extent you need to apply things in a certain context.
Of course, you always need to test it in your own country if the climatic is very different. But I've done research in the Czech Republic in sites which are really low in phosphorus and really low in potassium, because they have a specific bedrock there. And then I mean, in our systems we running short of the same nutrients because of acidification and leaching. So we can maybe see what happens in the future if you're running low of these nutrients by going to other countries which are more extreme. So then we can maybe predict what we can expect also in Sweden if this continues, this nutrient leaching continues.
Do you have any such predictions that you can share already?
Yeah, well, actually, I have from the Czech Republic, because if you run out of magnesium in the soil, the situation is very serious, because this mycorrhizal association will be inhibited or weakened very much. So if you have acidification leading to magnesium deficiency, it's a big problem. But on the other hand, if it's phosphorus deficiency instead, which is probably more likely in Sweden, then the symbiotic associations that they adapt to that, and they produce more mycelium, and they try to compensate that by weathering different minerals in the soil and things like that. So from the Czech Republic studies, we can see that the system can deal much better with phosphorus deficiency than magnesium deficiency. And then of course we need to see in Sweden which nutrients are we expecting to be in low amounts in the future, depending on the modeling that we do and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe magnesium deficiency is not a big risk because we are close to the sea, we have input to the magnesium from the sea. But I think we learned a lot from that study.
Yeah. We'll ask you one final question. This is something we ask to all our interviewees. What's in your view the highest priority for soils right now?
That is to keep the organic matter high and not depleted. So we need to add organic material, and we need to grow crops that produce root system and things like that. So the depletion of the organic content of the soil, that's the greatest danger for the future, and we can do something about it, I think.
Okay, thank you, Håkan Wallander.
Thank you.